All right. Oh, it's really loud. Before we sing, I just want to read two verses for you guys. So I was reading Psalms today because I had chapter summaries I would do a while ago, but that's okay. I did them, so that's the good part. But anyway, the verse, chapter 81 of Psalms, verse 1 and 2 says, "Sing for joy to God our strength. Shout aloud to the God of Jacob. Begin the music, strike the trumpet, play the melodious harp and lyre." That just really stuck out to me because the psalmist, he's like giving everything to God, right? There's nothing that wasn't played. If it made a sound or could give glory to God, it seemed like they were playing it, right? The guitar, whatever instrument they had, they were like, "Hey, you get in here, we're going to play, and we're going to worship Jesus," right? So I want to encourage you guys to do the same thing. Give God everything you have. If you want to clap this morning, go ahead and clap. If you want to sway a little bit, I know y'all Baptists and y'all move, but it's okay. You know, move a little bit, sway. If you want to glory to God, amen, give it to Him, you know. Don't hold anything back. So would you stand with us as we sing this song?
So you entered into this building. You brought your burdens and you brought your pain. But I have a message for you today. That once you leave here, you won't be the same. So you tell me you've been to your physician. Look at you, there's been no change in your condition. He can deliver. than you. Searched all over, couldn't find nobody. I looked high and low, still couldn't find nobody. Nobody greater, nobody greater, Jesus, nobody greater than you. Searched all over, couldn't find nobody. I looked high and low, still couldn't find nobody. Nobody greater, nobody greater, no, nobody greater than you. Nobody can heal like you can. Almost holy one, you are the great I am. No, something all your ways in your hand. You are he who carried down redemption plan. You are he who carried out redemption plan. Searched all over, couldn't find nobody. I looked high and low, still couldn't find nobody. Nobody greater, nobody greater, nobody greater than you. And we searched all over, couldn't find nobody. I looked high and low, still couldn't find nobody. Nobody greater, nobody greater, nobody greater than you. Nobody, nobody greater, nobody greater, nobody greater than you. There is no one, nobody greater, nobody greater, nobody greater than you. Nobody, nobody greater, nobody greater, nobody greater than you. Nobody greater, nobody greater, nobody greater than you. There's nobody greater, nobody greater, no, nobody greater than you.
God, I thank you that there's no one greater. I thank you that we can worship you with everything that we have. Lord, I pray that wouldn't just be true here and now as we sing songs, but that would be true in every aspect of our lives. That we would give you everything that we have because you're deserving of it all. You're worthy of it all. Lord, I pray that we would continue to keep that in mind as we live out life today and for the rest of the week and semester in our lives. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Yay, President Rabbi!
Snyder. This is rather close, isn't it?
You're tall. You should stand up. Yeah, that's better.
Was that better?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
So here we are again, right? We were here yesterday, right? Same time? Same time? We had a good talk yesterday, so here we are in chapel. So somebody volunteered that I was going to do this today, right? Somebody volunteered. And then I think I asked you for the subject matter. Did I not? I gave you a choice, right? Right? So we could do dollars, or we could do sex. Right?
Biology.
We could do biology, right? Yeah, let's do. Let's use the real word. We could do biology. So I'm going to be in Proverbs chapter 7 today. Proverbs 7. It's just one of the great chapters in the Bible on something you should not do. Right? Something you should not do. So let's talk to Jesus, and let's pray that I don't trip over this platform in the next 35 minutes. Father, thank you so much for the kids. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for your words, Lord. You know, your words speak to us. They're yours. They're for us. And they deal with every single subject, somehow or other, every single subject. And here in this nice home that we have, the subject is things we should not do, Lord. And it's very explicit. And I think it is because you want to get the point across. And here are these young people, Lord. They are just of the right age to make dramatic mistakes in their lives. And we have Proverbs 7 in front of us to help them to do that. So just give me your words, wise words, to speak to them in Jesus' name. Amen. Okay, so Proverbs 7, there's 27 verses here. I think I'm going to kind of read it and just sort of explain what these words say. But this is one of those teaching poems. And if you remember from last semester, it doesn't really matter if you do or not, but the setting is either a father to his son, because the first two words are my son. So it could be a father to his son speaking about life. Hey son, do this. Hey son, don't do that. Or it could be a setting something like this. So many scholars believe what it is a wisdom teacher, older, grayer, right? Older and grayer speaker to a younger people in an audience. And we have talked about this, but based in their setting, it says my son. It does not say my daughter. That doesn't mean it's not for you young ladies, right? You can just kind of flip the genders, and it sort of makes almost the same sense. The message is the same, but it's specifically being written from the little gender bias here, one older male to a younger male. Okay, so let's kind of just jump right in with verse 1. So at the beginning here, what I see is a whole bunch of verbs, doing things, right? And they're all in the imperative mood, meaning they're all commands, right? So I'm going to give you 7 commands right now. Just the commands. These are all commands, things you do. These are supposed to things you do. So he goes right down the list and he says, keep. He says, treasure. He says, keep again. He says, bind, write, say, and call. Right? We put those kind of together. What that means is, listen. Don't turn me off. Don't turn me off. Right? You got to pay attention right now. That's what this is. You have to pay attention. Don't turn me off. Some people already have. Right? Listen to this. Don't turn this off. Okay, so what are you supposed to listen to? First verse, he talks about words and commandments. Right? Words. We're gonna find out today in this story. This is just a story. It's a teaching story. Right? This is not a real life event that happened way back when. It's a story for somebody like me to teach somebody like you to illustrate the point. This is something you don't do. And it's all about words. So we're going to see basically several characters. So the father is speaking words. I'm speaking to you. I'm speaking words. Listen to my words. There's going to be another character going to show up later on, and it's a she, and she is extremely attractive. And she is extremely everything, right? And she is also going to speak to this son. So basically, we could say what we're going to encounter today is a battle of words. So we have a young man, and there's 2 people speaking to him. One, I'm speaking this way, and over there, she is speaking into his other ear. And he's got to make a decision based on the words that he is hearing. And we're going to watch that take place. Okay, so the father makes the proposal. If you listen to my words, son, you're going to live. We will get at the end, he doesn't, and he listens to her words and he dies, right? So depends who you listen to, son. So listen to my words. And then there's an interesting metaphor that I think I'd like to talk about for a minute. Verse 2, it says, listen to my teaching, keep my teaching. And then the phrase is the apple of your eye. Okay, apple of your eye is completely, it's an English idiom. It's not a Hebrew one at all. But you don't have to, but if you right now would turn and look at the person sitting right next to you and look in their eyes very closely, what you would see is yourself. Yourself. Right? You would see yourself in their eye. You'd be upside down, but you would see yourself in their eye. Okay? And that's what this expression really, really means. Okay? So it says, keep my teaching. It doesn't say the apple of your eye. It says, keep my teaching as the thing that you're seeing in somebody else's eye. And what you're supposed to see then is my teaching. Okay? And my teaching is this. Okay? So what the Father's saying to the Son then, if I'm giving you some wise advice, son, so what I want you to do is I want you to walk around life as if this is right there. Right? And Bino's never going to miss this because it ain't going to move. What should I do now? Bino, it's right there, right? He's always seeing this. It's right there, right? Not going to see anything else, but he ain't going to miss this because it's right there. That's what the Father's saying. So take what I'm giving you, and put it right there. So when you go out there, you look around everything, this is in your eye. It's right there, so you're not going to miss it. Listen to that. Then he says, bind it on your finger. Right? Anybody ever do that to help you remember? Put a little whatever on your finger?
Yeah.
Anybody ever write on your palm, before the quiz? Write on your palm or whatever that? Okay, it's just another way of helping you to remember. So the Father's telling to the Son, remember. And then something, we're going to see this come up later on. He says, now write the same thing down. Take all my good advice I'm giving you and write it on your heart. So you write it on your palm so you don't forget it. You tie it around a string on your finger so you don't forget it. But then put it inside and carve it on your heart. So every time that heart beats, right, it says, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that. So you don't ever miss this. You don't miss it. Put it on the outside, put it on the inside. And then he's going on and on, trying to get the Son really, really to listen. In verse 4, he talks about some other, and I'm going to use the phrase, some other women in this young person's life. So there's several women in his life, and here's two of them. Verse 4 mentions the woman named Wisdom. Some people call it Lady Wisdom or Madam Wisdom, but a woman called Wisdom. There's a wise woman out there, son. Listen to her. Listen to what she says to you. She's your sister. So treat her as your sister. Now, anybody here have a sister? You should listen to your sister every once in a while, right? I mean, your sister probably, especially as you get a little older, may have some wise words for you that you should listen to. So Lady Wisdom, treat Lady Wisdom as your sister. Now, if you have a little sibling problem there, well, fix it out, right? Because she probably has some good advice in this situation, and the situation is how to deal with other women. So listen to your sister. And then he goes on to say, listen to your friend whose name is understanding. So take understanding, understand what these words mean, and listen to that too. So get yourself some friends, son, some women friends, your sister, and a good friend, a woman friend, and listen to them, their advice on how to manage this problem. And here's the reason why. So there's 7 things you're supposed to do, and here's the reason why you're supposed to do that. The end of verse 5 says, so that they, all the things you're supposed to do, may keep you from the adulteress and from the foreigner who flatters with her words. So let's talk about who this woman is. First of all, it's a woman. It's another woman. It's another woman. She's not your sister. She's not your friend. But she's called here in English the adulteress and the foreigner. And both of those words, it's almost something like our setting here. Okay, the word is not adulteress. It just refers to a woman who's not of our community. It really means a woman that we don't know. It's somebody else. So I don't know, do we have, I think everybody here is one of us, right? Except Sean sitting over there, right? Sean sticks out, he sticks out like a whatever, right? Because he's different. He's new. We don't, he's new to us. We don't know who he is, right? He just sits there and everybody says, hey, somebody's here. Well, that's what this woman is. So if we had another young lady here that we didn't know, everybody would say, who's that? Who is that? I don't know her. She's not my sister. She's not my brother. She's not my mother. She's not whatever. Who is this woman, right? Because it's an unknown woman among, that's what this is talking about. Stay away from the unknown woman. Stay away from her. But notice what she does. English says she flatters with her words. Words, right? She's speaking. She's going to speak to the son. Stay away from her. Listen to your sister. Listen to your sister's friend. Listen to your friend. Don't listen to her. She flatters with her words. Flatter, in the text, means that these are smooth words. Like smooth words. Like real smooth. She knows what to say. You ever meet anybody who knows what to say and you listen to them and they get to do something that you should never have done? You know people like that? There's people like that out there. This is what she is. She knows how to say things that are going to be extremely attractive to this young man. Knows how to do that. And it's what she's going to say, right? Say. So here's the father standing over here. Here's my son. Talk, talk, talk. He's listening, doing a good job, nice. And here she is with her smooth words, right? And she's trying to get him to listen. I want him to go this way. She wants him to come this way. So that's what we going on. That's what we have going on. Okay, so now what the father does, because it's illustrative here. He wants to get his son to buy into what he's saying. He's going to tell a story. So we have this setting. We just set this up, right? We got the father teaching his son. We got this other woman, and the father's going to tell a story. So he's going to say to his son, you look at verse 6, say, I was in my house, come on over to the window. So let's everybody get up and go, don't get up. Everybody get up and let's go out, look at the window, right? Let's look at the window. And what we see down there is what's described. We're all looking at the window. And the father says, hey, son, come on over. Look at the window. Look what's going on down there. So let's see what happens. So verse 7, it says, the father's pointing out to his son. He sees among the naive and among the youths, all that means is the young men. I'm looking out there and I see a bunch of kids, right? At your age. I see, look, hey son, look. See all the guys out there? Yep, see the group? They're okay, they're just a group, they're together, maybe they're playing frisbee, maybe they're shoveling snow today, whatever. But they're out there, right? They're out there. Out there. And then there's one of them. See in verse 7, the last line, it says, one of those youths is a young man, and he lacks, New American Standard says, sense, but what he lacks is heart. His heart. Now, we already have seen something with the heart, because back in verse 3, it says, write my directions on your heart. Okay? This young man lacks heart. Now, that implies either dad never told him what to write on his heart, or when dad did, the son didn't bother to. But he doesn't have it on his heart at all. He doesn't have the directions. He doesn't know what to do. Right? He never received them, or he just ignored them. Nothing to do with the directions. Okay, so here's a young man, he lacks heart. And he's going to go home. So I see a group, and then it's time to go home, and this young man goes that way. Okay, so we're all okay on time. So when I was in college, I went to college once. I went to college twice. When I was in college the first time, I was up in the city of Boston, back in the 60s. In Boston in the 60s, there was it was 3 blocks by 3 blocks, so what's that? 9 square blocks area, that there was a kind of a term in the vernacular called the combat zone, right? Combat zone, and in the combat zone was the place where all the nasty stuff was. You could go watch things, you could go do things, you could go there. The police in the city of Boston said, well, these stupid things are going to take place anyway, so let's just kind of put them in this area so that we can kind of confine the problems because they're going to bring lots of problems. So it was the combat zone, and everybody knew where it was, right? And well, when you're going to go walk, Boston, I walked around a lot in Boston, and let's say I have to go from here to there, I got to go up to my office, right? And you know, the problem is the combat zone is right in the middle. So how do I go to my office?
You walk around.
You walk around the combat zone. How did I go to my office? Yeah, well, yeah, right through the combat zone. Oh, nice, right? That was pre-Jesus, right? Pre-Jesus, combat zone. Okay, so that's what this is talking about, right here, right here. So here's this young man, he's got to go someplace, and maybe he's in a little hurry, but instead of taking the long detour around where the problems are, he goes that way. Right? That's what verse 8 says. He lacks heart. It's not written on his heart. What's not written on his heart? Do not walk through the combat zone. He never wrote that one down, although his father most likely taught him. No, we're going to go down. So look at verse 8. He passes through the street near, notice now we have a her. Near her corner, who's the her? That's the lady back in verse 5. So that's this attractive woman who's speaking to him. He passes down the end of her street. And oh, look at verse 8. And he takes the way to her house. He makes a turn down her street. I can get to where I'm going quicker if I turn down this street. This is the combat zone, folks. You don't turn down that street, but he does. And then the writer, this is just a writer. He's telling a story, but in verse 9, he really dramatizes what's going on here, because as he walks down her street, notice it gets darker. Right? So it's getting darker physically, but it's also getting darker morally. So he's just walking down her street. Look at verse 9. First of all, it's the twilight, so the sun is about to set, but you can still see it. You can still see where we're going. He walks a little farther, it gets to be evening. Then he walks a little farther, and it gets to be the middle of the night. This is only going down 1 block or 2 blocks. And by the time he gets to the end, it's darkness. So he's walking down this immoral street, and it's getting darker and darker, darker and darker. And then verse 10. Then all of a sudden, there she is. A woman comes out to meet him. See verse 10? And she's dressed as a harlot. She knows how to dress. She knows how to dress to attract young men. She knows what they want to see. Well, she knows what they want to see, and she dresses accordingly. You can see what you want. That's what it says, right? Notice her, though. She's cunning of heart. Her heart, right? So now we talked about what the father wants his son to do with his heart. We talked about this young man that we're looking at the window at with his heart. He didn't write some things on his heart. And this lady says this woman is cunning of heart. Again, going back and do just a little bit of Hebrew. If you go to that school, they got a great Hebrew prof there. I know his name John Cook, right? John Cook. Really good prof down there teaching Hebrew, right? You could do this, right? So cunning of heart, what it really means is kept of heart. She's keeping something back. See, the father says, son, put this on your heart. What he most likely said, son, I put it on my heart and it helped me. You should write it on your heart. All right, this young man didn't bother to write it on his heart. And this woman who has things on her heart, she's not letting this young man know everything. She's holding things back. In other words, she knows more than she's going to say. Right? She's cunning. She's a little crafty with her words. She's going to use them very carefully. Okay, so what kind of woman is her? Verse 11, she's boisterous, meaning she's loud, she laughs. You say something funny, she laughs at it. It must be good, she's laughing at it. She's rebellious. Well, look, she's rebellious. Her father taught her too. So did her mother. And she's decided not to go their way. She decided to go her way. So she also had teachers, but she's rebelling against what she learned. Her feet do not remain at home. She's all over the place. Verse 12 says she's in the street, she's in the square, she's lurking by every corner. She's looking for people like this young man. She's looking for somebody that she can, we'll see what happens in a minute. But she's all over the place. She's looking, she's out after prey, and she's trying to find somebody walking all over the place in that combat zone on every corner. Okay, now, generally speaking, the Bible, biblical writers are they deal with real life situations, right? So the Bible writers, though, have a very nice way of dealing with sensitive issues, so we don't get too explicit in our vocabulary. This is about as explicit as the Bible gets, so this will be a little whatever we're going to deal with today, but it's good stuff. So notice what she does in verse 13. She seizes him, she grabs him, and gives him a big kiss. Nice, big kiss, right? So he's just walking down the street in the combat zone, it's getting darker, and all of a sudden out of the side comes this lady, and well, she's kind of cute, but she grabs him and kisses him. Wow, boom, just like that. Just like that. How are you going to react to that? Right there on the spot. And then she says to them, then she's going to talk with them, right? Because now it's words. What's the words? Verse 14. Okay, this is a nice way of saying, there's no nice way of me to describe what this says, but I'm going to try. Verse 14 says, this is what she says to him. I was due to offering my peace offerings. Today I paid my vows. What that means is that she is saying to him, I haven't had sex in a while. That's what that means, okay? It means either that metaphorically or it means that deliberately, but somehow or other, that's what that means. So she's saying to him, wow. Okay, wow. Let's, right? Let's. You and me. Now notice in verse 15. See, she's explicitly saying, verse 15, you are the one I want. Verse 15, therefore I have come out to meet you. Not you, not you, not you, not you, but you. I'm come out, I've done all of this for you and you alone. Notice at 15, 3 times. I've come out to meet you. I've come out to seek your presence, and I have found you. You are mine. You're mine. You. I'm here just for you. Not for anybody. I'm here for you. She's making her point. I am here. I have found you. 16, she's trying to attract him with her words, right? I've spread my couch coverings with the colored linens of Egypt. I've sprinkled my bed with myrrh, aloes, and cinnamon. Ooh, we don't have to talk about that. Okay, then she makes her proposal, right? Proposal. Here's the proposal, verse 18. Come, let us drink our fill of love until morning. Spend the night. Come to my house. My house is a beautiful place. I've set it up just for this event. This event is me and you. Come on up. Come on up. Let's have the greatest time in the world tonight. We will delight ourselves with lovings for the whole night. This is a young man. What do you think is going through his heart right now? Pump, pump, pump. This is getting exciting. Right? It's a story. It's only a story. Okay, now we're going to get some new information. Look what she said in verse 19. My husband is not home. She's married. All right, she's married. She's married. But my husband's not home. Now, it's one thing, this is Old Testament, right? It's one thing for two single people, that not married, to have sex. That's one thing in the Old Testament. It's another to do it with somebody who's married. And the difference is the punishment. If they're not married, the punishment is one thing. If one of them is married, we just committed adultery, right? Adultery is punishable by death, right? What she just said was, oh, by the way, I married. That's a big no-no right there, right? I'm married, right? She tells him, I'm married. But, look, my husband, he's gone away. He's on a long trip. He's not going to come back. And if you do the math, you can kind of figure out he's gone on a 15-day trip. We still got 13 days. So don't worry about getting caught. We're not going to get caught. My husband's not going to catch us tonight. It's just you and me. And I prepared this event just for you and me tonight. Verse 21, with her many persuasions, she entices him. She gets him to lean toward her. That's what enticing means. She flatters him with her lips, and he succumbs. And they have a great night together. End of the first version of the story. Right? So this is story. The father's telling, this did not happen. The father's telling his son, things like this happen all the time in the combat zone. That's why you don't go there. They also happen all over the place. Don't do this, son. Right? So it's an illustrative story. Now, what we just saw was the father telling one version of this story. This young man who kind of naively went someplace, and she just leads him one step at a time, going in the wrong direction until he winds up sinning. And this night with this woman. Now the father tells a different version of the same story. Different version of the same story. He's telling to his son, verse 22. Suddenly he follows it. Now look what the metaphor the father says. It's like this young man who succumbs to this woman is like an ox going to the slaughter. Right? Or one in fetters to the discipline of a fool. In other words, this is so stupid what that young man done. It's like an ox. Hey, ox, how you doing? You know, you pet the ox behind the ear, put a little rope around his neck. Come on, ox, let's go for a little walk. And you're walking down the street with the ox, and you're taking him to the slaughter pen. The ox doesn't know that. The ox thinks you're being a nice guy, right? Let's go for a nice little walk, ox. And you all of a sudden chop, dead ox, let's have some burgers, right? Before you know it, we're having ox burgers, right? And that ox didn't know what was going to happen. So the father, in the other version of the story, says to his son, this is how stupid that kid is. He's so blind to what's going on. He never listened to his father, never listened to his mother, never listened to his sister, never listened to his good friend. He's stupid, right? He's a fool. He's a fool. He should know better than that. He was told not to do that. Now look what happened to him. Look what happened to him. Verse 23. Until an arrow pierces through his liver. I'm assuming what that means is if you got an arrow sticking in your liver, you're going to die. Right? I don't even know, where's your liver on your body? You got a liver? Okay, liver. So you got an arrow in your liver, right? Most likely you're going to die. This kid's going to die. Well, we'll talk about that in a minute. Right? It's like an arrow in your liver. Like a bird that hastens to the snare. You know, a bird trap, let's trap some birds, let's trap something or other. Those animals are naive, and they get trapped. Right? So he does not know, this young man out there that we're watching, he does not know that it will cost him his life. Back in verse 2, the father said, keep my commandments, that is, don't do what this kid is doing, keep my commandments and live. This young man, so he does not know that it will cost him his life. Now, what he just did may or may not cost him his life, but the writer's going to come out of it in a minute. Okay, so here's his conclusion. Now, therefore, my sons, listen to me and pay attention to the words of my mouth. My words, son, my words, listen now. Do not turn your heart aside to her ways. Hey, young people, this happens all the time. This story, all the time. There are people here, if you wanted to, they probably want to do it in their office with the door closed, will tell you stories that happen that they know of. Maybe it happened to them. Maybe they said, most likely, I would like to think they said no. It happens all the time. Do not turn your heart aside to her ways. Do not stray into her paths. There's places in this world you should not go. They're out there. Now, of course, in this electronic age, there's more places you shouldn't go, right? More places you should go. Notice this, the end of the story. Many are the victims that she has cast down. It makes it seem at the beginning, the father's telling this, is that she was only after him. She wasn't after him only. This is evil. Evil is after innocence. And evil wants to make innocent not innocent anymore. Right? This is evil. She is evil. She does this all the time. All the time. Numerous are her slain. Her house is the way to Sheol, descending to the chambers of death. Death, death. Okay. So what do we do with this? Right? What do we do with this? Right? So I was thinking last night, I'm not big on the conclusion here. It was the story. The story tells the point. All right? First of all, this is not the message of today. Right? You know that. Right? You go over there, and you're not going to hear this. You're not going to hear this story, right? Consensual sex is okay. Over there. Right? What's wrong with it anyway? Isn't it fun? Why not? Over there, it's okay. Why not over here? What's wrong with this? Well, the Bible, for Christians, just offers an alternative. It's rather simplistic, right? One man, one woman. It's not about one-night stands. Life is not like that, right? Life is, Kate and I, 42 years, right? It's about relationships. It's long-term stuff. It's about commitments to each other. It's trusting each other. Okay, are you going to trust somebody who does this, and then they do it with that one, and they do it with that one, and they do it with that one, and then you marry them? You think that's going to stop? Really? Really? How naive are you? Right? So, I would just encourage you. Don't do this. Right? Are you going to die if you do this? No. You're not going to die. Right? They didn't die. Are you going to potentially ruin your marriage? Yes. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. That's right. Father, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for the kids. Thank you for your words. Thank you for these good biblical words, Lord. It's a message every single person needs to hear. Doesn't matter what gender, does not matter what age. Right? Does not matter what age. But help the kids, protect the kids, help them to listen, make wise decisions, Father. It's their lives. We can't prevent. We can speak. We can't prevent. Help them to decide well, to decide for Jesus. And we thank you in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you, everyone.